Yeah, just like normally when we play Rocket League, Jay, I'll be the one carrying. So let's get on into this anyway. Get right into this week's news. We alluded to it earlier, but the RLRS stream's not getting cast. Now, we're in a bit of a mindset here of we can understand why it didn't happen. Because, of course, getting the reasons why. But I think we should look on the positives and how to build for, say, next season. And for me, that's near enough getting like a community sort of network here between the tournament organizers and the, well, developers, Psyonix here, to get this set up, because having the off-stream match days should not be a thing, Jay, if you agree with me there. I think if they don't have the resources to put it on themselves, then giving it out to, say, Rewind, Rival, Minor League Doubles, Nexus, whoever the hell, Rocket Baguette as well, let's throw them in there. That should be the priority, because not only does it get that content out there, which is good for the fans, good for the teams to get them on camera more, get them broadcasted live, but it's also good for those community orgs as well, because it's more viewership, more subs for their channel, and helps them sort of develop for the future. Essentially, if you can bolster your stats with good RLRS gameplay, it should also be able to help you get in sponsors like, for example, HyperX, like Ballistics and that, which we've seen in the past.
Yeah, it's quite important to stream all these matches for the RLRS, even if you are panning it off and giving it to other organizations, because obviously it takes time and it takes money, and unfortunately for Shice, that's just not something that he can afford to do anymore. Obviously, very, very busy over in the Psyonix studios, as I'm sure that they are already. But yeah, it is very important we get these matches, especially for like teams that are not sponsored. Like we know, like there are so many teams in RLRS this season that are not sponsored. Triple Trouble, we've got Savage, who are also making their way up the ranks. I know Savage are looking or trying their best to get a good deal with an organization, and they are a team that I think deserves representation, because I think they're probably a good shout to get into the RLCS next season as well. And they've got Devo, they've got Bluey, they've got a really solid, I think, world-class team potentially on their hands. But even if you don't want to try and get those organizers involved in the in broadcasting RLRS matches, there's actually other solutions that you can find as well. And actually, this is something I suggested last season when the silent matches went out. I actually put on Reddit, why don't you just give us permissions that individual commentators can commentate it on their own streams, because that's something we do in Counter-Strike a lot. There's a tournament we've got going on called the Mountain Dew League, and if you're out in America especially, you can actually go on hltv.org and you can get like IPs that you can connect to live in the game and just commentate it and stream it on your own channel. I actually might do some of that later on this weekend when my voice is a little bit more healed up. But it's almost like a common sense sort of thing, the fact that these are not open to everybody, or not open to the people that have the capacity to do it.
Just quickly jump in there. I know the lads of Gfinity do it with their content creator network. So again, a push for them, I guess. Anyone at home that wants to get into cast and maybe try it, Gfinity, whenever they've got their tournaments going on, they now have this content creator network sort of set up. So basically, you sign up and then they give you a link which you can put into something along the sides like VLC media player, and near enough just pulls in a live feed, a bit like you would say with Twitch, but it's just going directly to people who have that feed, and then you just rebroadcast out to Twitch yourself. Now that sort of thing could be quite easily set up, I'd say, for Psyonix if they want to take that route with it, and then maybe that could bolster the smaller guys in the community instead of getting one specific org do it.
Yeah, and that would be a very nice way for other commentators to break in, because if you have to go through the process of applying and trying to see if you can make your way into an organization, there are some shut doors to new commentators, and I think that could be a really great way to try and drive people that maybe might not have been involved in commentary and casting as a whole. It might be, certainly I know a lot of people. I know there's a lot of people that actually got that start like that in Counter-Strike. Obviously, that's where I got my start in Counter-Strike. That's how I got my start in casting as a whole. So I think a system like that in place would be very, very nice, especially for something like the RLRS, which is essentially like one of the top tournaments. Like everyone wants to be in there because that's your way into the RLCS, and that's your way into the World Championship, essentially.
And especially since at the moment we're seeing these community orgs, which everyone used to go to. Just going to take the example of us at Rewind. We used to do these weekly tournaments, but it's just not feasible. And not only do you have to put in the time each and every week, but the prize pool, the man hours, everything on a weekly basis, it's not really that doable. But turning it into a monthly affair is. the problem is then 2 casters, maybe even 4 if you do 2 shifts, it in one sort of turn each month is a massive downstep for casters that are coming in, because of course we're going to be favoring those that are stronger casters, because naturally we're a production company at the same time, so we used to be able to maybe slot in with these smaller tournament organizers months back. You can't do so much now because everyone is realizing that it's got to be monthly events, and us tournament organizers are trying to split it out, sort of like, oh, okay, so we'll do the start of the month, you'll do the middle, then we'll do the end, and try and make it so that each week is covered, so there's still Rocket League content going on. But it's just hard when, again, those bigger casters are going to be the ones picked, because that's just how business works, isn't it, essentially?
Yeah, and we are pushing into an area where there's going to be less and less opportunities at this point. Guys like us are, without saying too much, we're probably going to end up doing some of these Renegade Cups that we've got coming up very, very soon indeed. I can pretty much say at this point that there probably will be some sort of English stream for the Rocket Baguette tournament. Again, not to reveal too much.
Not to allude too much.
Not to allude to too much, but and my concern really is more like, when we're doing all the big stuff, we're running out of small stuff to do. Like Rewind just suspended their weekly cups. There were obviously Rival stopped their weekly cups in North America. There's probably a decent shout they'll stop them in Europe, considering how successful the 1K Cup was as well. I don't know anything about that myself, but I can put 2 and 2 together. I can probably figure out that probably there's a good shout that EU will also move to monthly. So suddenly there's a lot less opportunity. There's a lot less opportunities that guys like you and me had when we just applied. We're like, we'll do some weeklies. Okay, we'll take a chance on you because it's not a massive tournament. But now for these community organizations, more and more massive tournaments and more massive streams are going to start coming to the forefront of their operation.
Yeah, we still have a couple smaller orgs still around EU, I know for sure, like Rocket League Hub, which I do believe next month are going to be bringing back their weeklies. They just finished their 2,100...
bi-weeklies, actually.
Is it bi-weeklies? But still, it's that case of you've got half of them. Anyway, so it's just... I think these starter sort of casters need to be approaching these orgs, which are maybe, I say orgs or whatever, but groups that are putting on 5 key tournaments, 10 key tournaments, and then just trying to get the experience there, get a little bit of a show reel, and then build up. It's basically, the climate has changed since when we started out with Rocket League casting, hasn't it, Jay? And that's why these sort of like separate broadcasts coming out, like we were saying, try and get content creator network from Gfinity is really good, because that's where naturally you should be starting your progression into this hobby of casting.
Yeah, I think that's sort of like, I would like to see like Psyonix trying to like, just feed that desire and feed that opportunity a bit more than anything else. Like, again, it would be nice if we had an RTMP feed, so that way anyone can do the matches. But obviously, I wouldn't mind getting community orgs in either. Obviously, got great connections and great relationships with those guys. So it depends on really how things play out. I'm not sure if next week's matches are going to be streamed. However, there was some confusion about whether or not there will be streams this week. Eventually, that did not end up coming to fruition. But next week, I'm hoping there will be some good matches. I'm hoping that we'll have some opportunities available. But Bacon, any closing thoughts towards the off-stream matches for RLRS?
No, it's that case of what is done. I personally, with how this week has gone, I don't see next week happening, but this should have been something I reckon that us community orgs should have seen from last season and stepped in and questioned earlier. I don't want to put all the blame on Psyonix for this, because that's not right. I think with us near enough seeing, oh, you're doing off-stream matches, even then back when they announced their schedule in week 1, we should have jumped in then and not say Monday night like we did. So it's like a case of, okay, we're a bit annoyed, but it's not just your fault. It's largely on us.
Partially
as well.
Us, yeah.
That's it. It's both ways,